The attack and the response. The medical outpost Compassion hung in orbit around Proxima Centauri, its gleaming white hull adorned with the universal symbol of medicine, a blue and white serpent-entwined staff that signify humanitarian aid across the known galaxy. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at the viewport in the main atrium, watching the swirling atmosphere of the planet below. After 3 years serving as the outpost's director, she still found the view breathtaking. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said Dr. Navin Singh as he joined her. "Hard to believe it's been 5 years since we established the first interspecies medical facility in this sector." Elena nodded. "The Morrigan delegation arrives tomorrow. They're bringing children with respiratory issues from their mining colonies. First time they've requested our help." Navin noted. "Progress." Compassion served all species without prejudice or payment, funded by the United Earth government as a gesture of goodwill to the interstellar community. Its 300 staff members represented the best medical minds humanity had to offer, all volunteers who had chosen to serve on the frontiers of space. In the pediatric ward, Dr. Maya Chen was finishing her rounds, checking on a young Viridian child whose translucent skin glowed faintly green as it slept. The treatment for its rare genetic condition was progressing well. Maya made a note in her medical log before moving to the next patient, a Kaltorian adolescent recovering from emergency surgery. The station's AA chimed softly. "Dr. Chen, the Draxon patient in Bay 4 is showing improved neural activity." "Thank you, Iris," Maya responded. "I'll be there shortly." The routine of the medical outpost continued as it had for years, healing, researching, building trust with species who sometimes had centuries of reasons to distrust one another. Compassion lived up to its name, a neutral ground where the politics and conflicts of the galaxy were left at the airlock. The attack came without warning. 3 vessels appeared from hyperspace, sleek predatory ships with no identification markings. They were Valkyrie design, a species known for their territorial aggression and isolationist policies. Before Compassion's communications officer could hail them, the lead ship fired. The first plasma torpedo struck the station's communications array, severing their connection to Earth and the rest of the medical network. The second hit the primary power core, sending the station into emergency protocols as lights flickered and gravity fluctuated. "All personnel, this is Director Reyes. We are under attack. Implement emergency evacuation protocol. Medical staff, secure your patients. This is not a drill." Elena's voice remained steady despite the fear coursing through her. The station shuddered as another impact struck, and alarms blared throughout the corridors. In the surgical suite, Dr. Arjun Patel was in the middle of a delicate procedure on a Nilian diplomat when the attack began. The backup generators kicked in immediately, but the surgical bay rocked with each new impact. "Stabilize the patient," Arjun ordered his team. "We're moving to the evacuation pods." "We can't move him now," protested his assistant. "The neural grafting isn't complete. If we stay, we all die," Arjun said grimly. "Prepare him for transport." Throughout the station, medical staff rushed to evacuate their most vulnerable patients. They had drilled for emergencies, but never for a direct military assault. There was no protocol for being deliberately targeted. Such an act violated every interstellar agreement on medical neutrality. In the central hub, Elena coordinated the evacuation as Navian worked to establish contact with nearby systems. "Any response to our distress signal?" she asked. "Nothing," Naveen replied, his face grim. "The attack took out our long-range communications. The emergency beacon is broadcasting, but the nearest help is at least 12 hours away." Another explosion rocked the station, closer this time. Through the viewport, they could see one of the Valkyrie ships positioning itself for a direct assault on the main hangar where evacuation pods were launching. "They're targeting the evacuation pods," Elena whispered in horror. "They know exactly what they're doing." On the command deck of the Lid Valkyrie vessel, Commander Zurathal watched the destruction with cold satisfaction. "Target their escape vessels. No survivors," His second-in-command hesitated. "Commander, our scans confirm this is a medical facility. There are patients from 17 different species aboard, including Valkyrie children from the outer colonies. They are contaminated by human medicine," Zyrthal replied without emotion. The High Council was clear. The human expansion must be checked. Their so-called humanitarian outposts are merely the first wave of their colonization efforts. But the Galactic Concord explicitly protects medical. "Follow your orders, Sub-Commander," Zyrthal interrupted, "or be relieved of duty." The attack continued for 47 minutes. When it was over, Compassion was a shattered hull, venting atmosphere into space. Of the 62 evacuation pods launched, only 17 escaped the Valkyrie weapons. The remainder were destroyed with their occupants still aboard: doctors, nurses, patients, and support staff. One of the surviving pods contained Dr. Maya Chen, 3 nurses, and 4 critical patients. As their small vessel tumbled through space, Maya recorded a final transmission on the pod's emergency beacon. "This is Dr. Maya Chen of Medical Outpost Compassion. We were attacked without provocation by Valkyrie warships. They deliberately targeted medical personnel and patients during evacuation. 173 confirmed dead. They knew we were medics. They knew, and they fired anyway." The message reached Earth 20 hours later. In the underground complex beneath Geneva that housed the United Earth Defense Council, President Sofia Alvarez watched the recording for the 3rd time, her face a mask of controlled anger. Around the oval table sat the 12 members of her Security Council, military leaders, intelligence directors, and diplomatic chiefs. "Options," she said simply when the recording ended. Admiral Kazuo Nakamura, head of the Earth Fleet, spoke first. "Standard protocols would call for diplomatic censure through the Galactic Concord, followed by increased defensive posture around our remaining outposts." "And how many more will die while we navigate diplomatic channels?" asked General Maria Diaz, her voice tight with restrained emotion. "The Valkyrie deliberately targeted medical personnel. They violated the most fundamental principle of interstellar law." Director Liu Wei of Intelligence cleared his throat. "Our analysis suggests this was not a rogue action, but a calculated strike authorized by the Valkyrie High Council. They're testing our response, probing for weakness before potential wider aggression." President Alvarez's eyes narrowed. "And if we show weakness, more attacks will follow," Liu confirmed. "The Valkyrie respect only strength and fear." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to the president. Sofia Alvarez had led Earth through 8 years of unprecedented peaceful expansion. She had championed the medical outpost program as a cornerstone of human diplomatic efforts. Now she faced the most difficult decision of her career. "What about the Guardians?" she asked quietly. Several council members exchanged uneasy glances. Admiral Nakamura straightened in his chair. "Madam President, deploying the Guardians would be an extreme response. Is that not what this situation calls for?" she countered. "The Valkyrie have committed an atrocity. They've targeted those who heal, those who save lives regardless of species or allegiance." Dr. Ileana Morales, the Surgeon General, spoke up. 27 of my colleagues were confirmed dead in that attack. 46 are still missing. The Valkyrie knew exactly what they were doing." Sophia stood, walking to the wall-sized display showing the known galaxy. She traced her finger along the border regions where human medical outposts operated. "Humanity joined the galactic community promising peace. We still believe in that promise. But there must be lines that cannot be crossed without consequence." She turned back to face the council. "The Valkyrie have made a critical miscalculation. They believe that because we pursue peace, we have forgotten war." A cold smile touched her lips. "We should remind them why the elder species were so relieved when we chose diplomacy over conquest." Admiral Nakamura sighed heavily. "If we deploy the Guardians, there will be diplomatic repercussions. Many species remember our more aggressive past." "Then let them remember it well," Sophia replied. Activate Protocol Nemesis. Deploy the Guardians with the following parameters. Locate and rescue any survivors, identify and neutralize all responsible parties, and ensure such an attack never happens again. She paused, looking each council member in the eye. The Valkyrie attacked our healers. Now they will face our warriors. Deep beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Commander Alexandra Volkov received the activation codes that hadn't been used in 15 years. Her augmented eyes scanned the authorization, neural implants confirming its authenticity. She turned to her executive officer. Wake them up. In the center of the facility, 12 stasis pods began the revival sequence. Inside each pod lay a member of humanity's most feared special operations unit, the Guardians. They were the dark secret behind human peace, the monsters kept leashed unless absolutely necessary. As the first pod hissed open, Commander Volkov stepped forward. Inside lay Colonel Jeremiah Kane, his dark skin marked with the neural interface scars that connected him to his combat systems. His eyes opened immediately, fully alert despite years in stasis. Protocol Nemesis has been activated, Volkov informed him. The Valkyrie have attacked Medical Outpost Compassion. Kane sat up, his expression unchanged but his eyes darkening. Casualties. 173 confirmed. 46 medical personnel still missing, presumed captured. Kane nodded once, processing the information through his enhanced neural networks. Around him, the other pods were opening as his team awakened. They were 12 individuals with different specialties, backgrounds, and reasons for joining the Guardians, but they shared one common trait. They were the best killers humanity had ever produced. Mission parameters, Kane asked as he stood, accepting the simple black uniform handed to him by a nervous technician. Find our people. Punish those responsible. Make an example. A cold smile crossed Kane's face as he flexed his augmented muscles, neural pathways reconnecting with combat enhancements that had been dormant for years. The Valkyrie should have left our medics alone, he said quietly. Now they get to meet the monsters. Retribution and reckoning. The Valkyrie border outpost on Nexus VII detected no warning before the Guardians arrived. One moment, their sensors showed clear space. The next, a stealth vessel materialized in high orbit, deploying 12 drop pods that streaked toward the surface like meteors. Inside the lead pod, Major Lydia Reynolds checked her gear one final time. Once Earth's deadliest infiltration specialist before volunteering for the Guardians program, her body was now enhanced with cutting-edge tech that made her nearly invisible to most detection systems. Impact in 30 seconds, she reported through the neural link that connected all 12 Guardians. Unlike conventional military units, the Guardians did not fight as a cohesive team. They were individual hunters, each with specialized skills and augmentations designed for maximum psychological impact as well as combat effectiveness. The pods crashed through the atmosphere, ablative shielding burning away as they hurtled toward the Valkyrie outpost. Impact was sudden and jarring despite the inertial dampeners. Lydia's pod buried itself 20 meters from the perimeter fence. For 3 seconds, nothing happened, just long enough for curious Valkyrie guards to approach. Then the pod exploded outward, releasing not fire but a cloud of microscopic drones that swarmed over the approaching guards. The drones attached to exposed skin, injecting compounds that paralyzed but did not kill. Lydia stepped from the smoking wreckage, her adaptive camouflage armor shifting to match the surroundings. Perimeter guards neutralize, she reported calmly. Moving to Phase 2. Around the outpost, 11 other pods had landed, each deploying the Guardian with specific targets and mission objectives. Unlike standard military operations, there was no command structure once deployed. Each Guardian was a self-contained strategic unit with absolute authority to complete their objectives by any means necessary. Lieutenant Marcus Chen, once Earth's most notorious systems infiltrator before joining the Guardians, landed nearest to the communications center. His neural implants began interfacing with Valkyrie systems before he even approached the building. The two guards at the entrance never saw him. Their own security feeds looped to show an empty corridor as he passed. Inside the communications hub, he placed his palm against the main terminal. Microscopic filaments extended from his fingertips, physically connecting him to the Valkyrie network. His enhanced brain processed information at speeds impossible for unaugmented humans, sifting through data to locate what they needed. "Communication secured," he reported. "I have locations for 3 additional outposts involved in the attack on Compassion, plus data on prisoner transports. 17 human medical personnel were taken alive, distributed across 4 detention facilities." Colonel Kane's voice came through the neural link. "Coordinates transmitted to all units. Primary objective updated. Recover our people first, then proceed with secondary objectives." In the command center of the outpost, Commander Tirven was still trying to understand what was happening. Alarms blared from multiple sectors, but reports were confused and contradictory. Communications with guard posts went silent one by one. Security feeds showed empty corridors where screams could be heard. "Deploy all combat units," he ordered, his 4-fingered hand slamming against the console. "Lock down all sectors." "Too late for that," said a calm voice behind him. Tirven whirled to find a human female standing in the center of the command center. Impossible, since the doors were sealed and guards posted outside. Major Ileana Santos, the Guardian's psychological warfare specialist, smiled pleasantly at his confusion. "How did you get in here?" Tirven demanded, drawing his sidearm. Santos made no move to defend herself. "I walked in. Your guards saw what I wanted them to see." Her neural implants were specifically designed to manipulate sensory perception in most known species, the Valkyrie included. "What do you want?" Tirven asked, his weapon trained on her heart. "Information," Santos replied. "The location of every Valkyrie who participated in the attack on Outpost Compassion, and the whereabouts of our medical personnel who are still missing." Tirven's inner eyelids flickered nervously. "I don't have that information." "That's disappointing," Santos sighed. She tapped her temple, activating specific neural pathways that released targeted pheromones. "But you know someone who does." The commander felt a strange sensation wash over him. A compulsion to trust this human, to help her. Part of his mind recognized it as some form of manipulation, but that awareness was fading quickly. High Command would have the information, he found himself saying. "Central data hub on our homeworld." Santos smiled. "Thank you for your cooperation." Throughout the outpost, similar scenes played out as the Guardians methodically extracted information, disabled resistance, and secured their objectives. They didn't kill when they didn't need to, not from mercy, but because terror was a more effective weapon than death. The Valkyrie had never encountered enemies like this. Soldiers who moved with impossible speed, who seemed to predict their tactics before they implemented them, who used the Valkyrie's own biology and psychology against them. Stories would spread of shadows that spoke, of warriors who couldn't be killed, of humans who were something more and less than human. Within hours, the first medical personnel were recovered. Dr. Naveen Singh and 4 nurses had been held in a makeshift detention center. They were malnourished and showed signs of interrogation, but were otherwise unharmed. They kept asking about Earth's defenses, Naveen told Colonel Kane as they boarded the extraction vessel. They seemed convinced our medical outposts were gathering intelligence. Kane's expression remained neutral. "Rest now, Doctor. We'll handle the rest." As the Guardian's operation expanded from the initial outpost to multiple Valkyrie installations, reports began filtering back to the Valkyrie High Council. The attacks were unprecedented, surgical strikes against military targets with minimal casualties, but maximum psychological impact. At each location, the Guardians left the same message broadcasting on emergency channels, footage of the attack on Outpost Compassion, playing on a continuous loop, along with documentation of the Guardians' response. In the central chamber of the Valkyrie High Council on their homeworld, Supreme Leader Zarvek watched these transmissions with growing horror. How is this possible? He demanded of his military advisors. How can 12 individuals neutralize our most secure installations? Fleet Admiral Kurzan stepped forward nervously. They are not conventional humans. Our intelligence suggests they are augmented far beyond normal parameters. A special unit called the Guardians that hasn't been deployed in 15 Earth years. Why have we never heard of them? Zarvek demanded. Because the last species that provoked them doesn't exist anymore, Kurzan replied quietly. The Drenthari Imperium was reduced from a major power to a single refugee world in under 2 months. The council chamber fell silent as this information sank in. The Drenthari had once controlled 27 star systems before suddenly collapsing. Most assumed it was internal conflict that destroyed them. We must negotiate, counseled Diplomat Valor. The humans have recovered most of their personnel. Perhaps they will accept reparations and... A communications officer burst into the chamber. Supreme Leader, we've lost contact with the Central Defense Network. Our planetary shields are deactivating. In orbit above the Valkyrie homeworld, Colonel Kane directed the final phase of the operation from the bridge of the stealth vessel. Status report, he ordered. 13 of the 17 missing medical personnel recovered alive, Lieutenant Chen reported. 4 confirmed dead from interrogation. We have identified all command personnel involved in the attack on Compassion, including Commander Zurifal, who led the assault. Kane nodded. And our access to their defense network. Complete, Chen confirmed. Their planetary shields are down. Weapons systems are offline. Communications are under our control. Excellent. Kane turned to communications specialist Torres. Broadcast to the entire planet. I want every Valkyrie to see what happens when you target our healers. On the Valkyrie homeworld, in every home, on every public screen, the message played. It began with the footage from Outpost Compassion, the destruction, the targeting of evacuation pods, the final message from Dr. Maya Chen. Then it showed the Guardians' systematic dismantling of Valkyrie military might. The final image was Colonel Kane himself, standing in what was clearly the Valkyrie High Command's war room, a location supposed to be the most secure facility on the planet. People of Valkyria, Kane's voice was calm, almost conversational. You don't know us. We are the Guardians, the part of humanity you were never meant to meet. We exist because long ago, humans were monsters to each other. We perfected the art of warfare and atrocity long before we mastered peace. He walked slowly around the room, the camera following him. When we joined the galactic community, we locked away our darkest weapons and most dangerous soldiers. We did this willingly because we wanted to be better than our history. His expression hardened, but we kept them. Just in case. Kane gestured, and the image changed to show Commander Zurifal in custody. This individual led the attack on our medical facility. He and all others responsible will face justice under galactic law. The image returned to Kane. Remember this lesson. Humanity extends the hand of peace through our healers, our diplomats, our traders. But if you force our hand, we can still make war in ways your people have never imagined. He leaned closer to the camera, his enhanced eyes gleaming unnaturally. We are leaving your military infrastructure disabled but your civilian systems untouched. Consider this mercy and a warning. Attack our healers again, and there will be no second chance. The transmission ended, leaving billions of Valkyrie staring at blank screens. 3 days later, the Valkyrie Supreme Leader personally attended an emergency session of the Galactic Concord. Under the watchful eyes of representatives from 100 species, he formally apologized for the attack on Outpost Compassion, offered reparations to the families of those killed, and surrendered all responsible military personnel for trial under interspecies law. In the human delegation, President Alvarez accepted the apology with appropriate diplomatic grace. The Guardians had already been returned to their stasis pods on Mars, their existence once again becoming a rumor rather than a reality. As the formal proceedings concluded, Supreme Leader Zarvek approached President Alvarez privately. "Your warriors," he said quietly. "They could have destroyed us completely. That was never our intention." Alvarez replied, "Humanity genuinely desires peace. Yet you maintain such weapons." Alvarez smiled thinly. "We were not always peaceful. We remember what we were, what we could be again if necessary. The Guardians exist to ensure we never need to return to that path." Zarvek's inner eyelids flickered in understanding. "Your healers build bridges between worlds. Your warriors ensure those bridges remain standing." "Precisely," Alvarez nodded. "Attack our healers, and you meet our warriors. That is the promise humanity makes to the galaxy." As she turned to leave, Zarvek called after her. "The new medical outpost. Your government still intends to build it. Construction begins next month," Alvarez confirmed. "And we hope Valkyrian medical personnel will consider joining the staff. The best paths forward are those we walk together." In the months that followed, the story of what happened when aliens attacked human medics spread throughout the galaxy. Species that had viewed humanity's peaceful overtures as weakness reassessed their understanding. The Guardians returned to myth and rumor, a shadowy deterrent that allowed human diplomacy and humanitarian efforts to flourish. And on the frontier of known space, a new medical outpost opened, larger than compassion had been, its white hull gleaming against the darkness. Above its main airlock, alongside the universal symbol of medicine, hung a simple plaque commemorating those lost in the attack. Beneath it, in the languages of 100 worlds, were inscribed the words that had become humanity's unofficial motto among the stars. "We come in peace. Please don't make us come any other way."